so we start from our region.
What defines one of the best restaurants in the world? Well, for me it's about seeing the chef's personality really standing out from the beginning when you enter the dining room and seeing how it is decorated and how the table setting is made, to the dishes that are coming out from the kitchen, and really seeing that sense of personality being expressed in a beautiful way. And Piazza Duomo really stands out in its personality by Chef Enrico Crippa. He really expresses the food with high quality ingredients from his gardens around the city and puts them together on the plate in a really beautiful manner where everything is letting the ingredients speak out for themselves, but the flavors are there and they're really subtle, and it's a harmony throughout the menu that we're gonna see here in our lunch. This is also one of Alexander de Guest's favorite restaurants in Italy, and if you haven't heard about him before, I recommend you to check out his channel. He is by far the leading YouTuber when it comes to giving insight into the world's best restaurants right now, and he's just doing an amazing job. So please, together with me, let's sit down and review this restaurant and see if they really are one of the best restaurants in the world. And as always, you will see the scoring of this restaurant in the end of the video. Enjoy! The menu has to be pre-ordered when you make the reservation, and today I went with the Journey by Crippa, and it was 8 courses for 290 euros.
Okay, so the welcome from the chef. Starting from the olives, inside you will find veal and langoustine tartare. The Parmesan cheese buffer. This one is an arlette with the mayonnaise, made with the soya and a little bit of garlic with the flowers from our garden. Smoked trout cracker, the tapioca and black garlic, and we finish with the bacio di dama, usually sweet, in this case savory with liver. Okay. In the middle, the barbagianni is filled fried ravioli with the ricotta.
What a beautiful arrangement here of small snacks before our first course on the menu, and each and every one of them had an individual taste and really stood out in their subtle flavors, but yet being so impactful and tasting a lot of the core ingredients. So for example here, the olives that had veal and langoustine tartare in them was really strong in the flavor, but in a way that it didn't take over anything from the rest of the snacks. And that's one of the genius things when you're working in a chef on a really high level, that they can really put out flavors in a strong way but still not overpower everything else that is to come.
Continuing with the foie gras, we have 3 different layers, starting from the bottom, the foie gras cream, crunchy corn in the middle. On the top we have the Gingerino di Requaro foam, which is a non-alcoholic Italian bitter. Just make sure when you taste this dish, make sure you go deep down with the spoon, so you take all the layers together, and the peanut cracker to enjoy together.
I really like Italian bitters and love cocktails like Negroni and Aperol Spritz, so for me this snack was really enjoyable, and they kept the bitterness quite low, which I do enjoy, and it was balanced up in a really nice way with the foie gras and its fattiness here. Beautiful snack to look at, and all of the different layers really delivered a texture and mouthfeel that was super enjoyable to eat.
Antipasto Piemontese. So we start from our region. I'm going to start from the right hand side, and then I'm going to give you some advice. Mustard leaves with the crunchy buckwheat and spinach cream. Escargot sauté with burrata and the leaves from the garden. Savory creme caramel with miso reduction. Chip ricotta in a tomato sauce. The pressed courgette with the campione gel on the top. Pioppini mushroom, pumpkin with the salted hazelnut, the zucchini is filled in carpione, which means cured with salt and sugar. Zucchini bombetta with the brusca sauce, it's a kind of béarnaise, a bit more acidic to the palate. The tatsoi cabbage with furikake. Now we have a different cucumber. Cucamelon, which is a cucumber from South America, which we have in our garden. Cucumber in osmosis. Cucumber flour, the tomato gel with the pesto sauce and the Tajasca olive, and the roll, it's caponelle. It's a typical preparation of Piemonte, usually made of pork. The chef made it with anchovies instead.
Antipasto, normally a few different bites that starts your Italian meal like charcuteries and maybe a few cheese slices and something like that, but here we had 15 different courses that was based on vegetables that were coming from Chef Crippo's gardens that he has around Alba. Now I have to say that I was a little bit overwhelmed, and I also was a little bit worried here that how would I feel after eating all of these dishes knowing that we still had 7 courses to wait. However, the sizes and the freshness and lightness of these dishes meant that it actually wasn't a problem to finish them all and still have room for what's yet to come. Chef Crippa is really smart here on making small bites that are really again subtle in their flavor but yet powerful in the flavor profiles that they have. So just seeing all of these dishes here that we are tasting, I will really see this as a one total plate of food, because everything almost came together like a salad here, and it was just so enjoyable to quickly go through all of them and get the sensations here of the freshness from the gardens. And the server told me that they are actually picking from the gardens 3 times a day, so they get delivery into the kitchen with really fresh ingredients to serve their customers.
Continue the journey, we go to the beach on the rocks. We have the sea urchin carpaccio. At the base we find the tomato jelly. On the top, the pecorino béarnaise and the spring onion olive oil. Fully cut chips on the sides to enjoy together. And to finish, we have the almond sorbet, sea urchin cream and coffee powder.
Sea urchins, a real favorite of mine, and starting with the main plate here, it was so full of flavor and the sea urchin really just bloomed out in my mouth while eating it, and it was really nice to have the coolness from the tomatoes here just to balance that out a little bit. And then on the side here with the seaweed cracker giving some texture to the dish, but what really stood out for me here was actually the side dish with the almond ice cream and the sea urchin cream that was there, and there was also some coffee powder on the top. A real explosions of flavors in a flavor combination that I haven't tested before. It was just so impactful and so beautiful to eat. A real star.
The journey to Veneto, northeast of Italy, with the cod in sour, which is a classic recipe from Veneto, with pine nuts, onion, fish, and raisins. The cod on the top with the fried tempura and the chips on the side. Prego.
Chef Crippa's take on a classical dish here, cod in sour, and I think that the balance in this dish was really good. The acidity level was just enough high to balance out the other ingredients here on the plate with the fish that was beautifully cooked, and then with the pine nuts and the raisins that gave a little bit of sweetness, and then you also had the fried tempura on the top that brought a nice texture to the dish. I enjoyed to eat this one, but compared to what we have had so far, this wasn't one of the strongest dishes of this meal, and I was looking forward to what's gonna come next.
Continue the journey to the east of Europe, so you have different beetroot consistency. We have the beetroot tartare in front of you, covered by a beetroot jelly. On the side, the beetroot sandwich with herring cream and the caviar, the borscht sauce with the crème fraîche and the spring onion on the top, and beetroot and meat consommé. How to taste your dish? Start with this one because it's warm. Then you continue as you wish, always drinking the consommé together as with from the glass.
Variation of beetroot, and starting with the beetroot tartare here under the beetroot gel and digging into the flavors. Everything here just worked in great harmony and was lifting the beetroot in a really good way. There were other ingredients of course in this mix, but nothing really took over from the beetroot, but everything that was in here just lifted the experience of having a clear beetroot flavor in an extremely nice way. And then we're moving over to the borscht here, and borscht is a meaty, hearty beetroot soup that you often see in Russia. And I have to say here that Chef Krippa really delivered a surprise for me, because the flavor of this soup was just so incredibly deep. I've actually never had anything like it in the context of a borscht type of a soup, and it was one of the best things that I have been eating in a very long time. And then moving over to the small sandwich here, and the bread in this one was so light, almost like a sponge cake that you make from a microwave, and it was filled there with the cream and the caviar, and it was the perfect supplement to have with the beetroot consomme on the side there, and also dipping into the borscht if we had anything left of that one. This was by far one of the best dishes of the whole menu. I really enjoyed this a lot. There was a flavor spectrum that was so broad with the beetroot, and the colors here were just so amazing.
We have the homemade hazelnut brioche, sourdough bread, and grissini. Everything is homemade using the flour of Mulino Sobrino La Morra.
A nice bread serving here between the dishes, and my favorite here was the hazelnut brioche. It was just so crispy and layered, and the hazelnuts from this region is just to die for. They're so clear in their nutty flavor, and it's just so beautiful to eat. In this next dish from Krippa, we see how he pays tribute to one of his favorite artists, Anselm Kiefer, and really try to showcase one of his paintings on the plate. Here we have cuttlefish together with some potato starch, and we have squid ink, and on the side squid ink with some polenta. Pretty as a picture, and not saying that only because it is from a picture, but because it is so beautiful to look at this dish. You can really see the effort that has gone into this to try to recreate something from his favorite artist. The cuttlefish here laser thinly cut and so tender and so deep of flavor, and then you have that potato in form of almost like a starchy type of a soup that's combined with another sauce on the plate and then dusted with that squid ink on the top. A really strong dish with deep flavors from the sea. And then on the side here we had the polenta with the squid ink on top, and it was good, but for me the flavors here were a little bit too strong and a little bit too salty, and it dominated the rest of the dish a little bit too much.
The first bit of pasta, cavatello, with make of course in our restaurant, with smoky butter and some burnt lemon on the top. And so just fine steak.
The cavatelli here with some smoked garlic and some kind of a butter sauce and some roasted coffee on top was pleasant enough to eat in its texture, but for me the bitterness was just too big and loud in this dish and really took away the gentleness and the sublimity that this pasta dish would have delivered.
The journey with the duck breast, we have the foie gras cream in the middle, the duck sauce as well, and sweet chard leaf on the right hand side. Enjoy.
I get so happy when you're able to finish the savory part of a long meal with a really strong main course, and this one really delivered on all the parts that I'm looking for that reason. Just look at that duck, it's perfectly pink throughout the meat and it has a perfectly crispy skin. And then you have that Swiss chard lying on the edge there, both the leaf and the stem is just cooked to an absolutely perfect consistency of al dente. And then the two different sauces here of the foie gras that is really delivering that fattiness and really strong flavors. And then you have the duck jus that is also lifting the duck breast in a really nice way. I really enjoyed this dish a lot, and it was nice to see a plate that was plentiful of food and that you really could enjoy it to the last bit here of the savory part of the meal.
Continue with the dessert, which is a painting of Kiki Smith, which the chef created on the plate. The name of the painting is The Moon is Like the Virgin Mary. She was in love with the moon because she said you can watch it, you can contemplate it, whereas the sun is too aggressive for your eyes. So you have, starting from the main dish, you have the biscuit with the fennel underneath, mascarpone and anise in the middle, on the top white chocolate, pea shoots and anise infusion, and a coffee sorbet. Enjoy it as you wish. This one is to drink from the glass directly.
What a great way to end our meal here with a painting from Kiki Smith that Krippo has tried to create back on the plate here, and really embracing the moon rather than the sun, arguing that the moon is more pleasant to look at because the sun is just too harsh in its brightness. Starting with the main dessert here and having that fennel biscuit in the bottom, followed by the mascarpone with some anise seeds and then that white chocolate moon-shaped brick on top. It was really nice textures here, and it was an interesting flavor combination with the white chocolate and the mascarpone together with the licorice type of flavors that the anise seeds and the fennel will deliver. And then you had the coolness on the side here with the coffee ice cream and that small sugar brick on top, and followed by that pea shoot and anise consomme on the side. It was a really unique dessert, and I think that's one of the strengths here of Chef Krippa, that he's really trying to think about the painting that he's trying to recreate on the plate and seeing what type of flavors can actually be useful here. I think he has succeeded throughout the meal, and this was a really strong finish with a really great dessert.
Just to finish, we have in the hazelnut cake. This was the hazelnut bonnet, typical from Piemonte. The gavosso is like a crack, crispy. Shortbread and lavender with white chocolate. Selection of fruit from our garden. The ramastinso is like a type of plum, typical from there, and the blackberries. Hazelnut and cacao dragé, and black tea and lemon jelly. And we finish with I don't know if you saw the movie The Clockwork Orange, so it's back to that. The milk, grappa of Moscato and vanilla. To shake and drink in one go. Yes.
So what did I think then about my visit here to Piazza Duomo and Chef Enrico Krippa? Well, I have to say that this is really showcasing gastronomy on the highest level, and the personality of Krippa is really coming out in all of the dishes that we have tasting during this lunch. It's been a real pleasure stepping into his world, and even though I haven't maybe found all of the dishes being to my flavor, you can really see that there's a real strong thought behind all the dishes, and they are flawlessly executed. I'm gonna put the food rating in this restaurant at 96 points. When it comes to the service of this restaurant, from the beginning, greeting us in the telephone outside of the closed gate until the end, and Chef Krippa shook my hand and really looked me in the eyes and thanked me for coming there for lunch. It's been exceptional on the service level, and therefore I'm gonna put the point on 97. And lastly, and here we have a little bit of an update, because previously we have had value as one of the pillars for putting scores on, but that one has now moved in as a supporting factor for the food and the service. The new criteria that we're gonna have is the ambience, and that means basically the characteristics and the atmosphere of the place that you are stepping into. And I thought there was a real uniqueness to this dining room, and you can really see all the paintings and the tableware, and everything was really personally taken into this restaurant by the chef, and I'm gonna put the rating here at 98. And that brings end from this episode from Alba, Piemonte in Italy, and I want to thank each and every one of you who are tuning in to this channel and looking at our reviews, where we are trying to do reviews of different restaurants across the world in a really fairly manner, and trying to put points on the different criterias that we have. So if you enjoy this content, please hit like and subscribe, and until next time, bye bye.